What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the More Than Philly Sports Network. It's been 365 days that we've been saying that phrase on here. It's probably become etched into my brain as I continue to say it. But how is everybody doing today? It's great to be here with all of you. It is Tuesday, June 8th, 2021, 10:31 a.m. here on the East Coast. And as always, joined alongside my co-host Gavin Tony. Got himself a cup there. Pulled it out for the 1 year birthday, I guess we'll call it, the 1 year of the More Than Philly Sports Network. Gavin, as always, how are you doing today?
Well, first of all, I just want to give a major shout out to Zach for letting me for coming to his graduation party. I had a blast, Zach, especially after hours when we all got in the games. And Mr. Star, I did it. You asked for me to do this, I did it. Zach, all jokes aside, I'm doing great, man. It's exciting. Exactly 1 year ago today, we started a talk show when there was no sports going on, and our number one topics were the Dak Prescott contract, Darius Slay, and then ultimately the George Floyd incident that happened. So that's some things we were rolling with, and then we were rolling with Blake Snell's comments for a little bit. And now look at us now, Zach. We got the NBA playoffs. Which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get to that in just a minute. And we also have the disappointing Phillies. Zach, I mean, it's crazy. We did it through a school year, in an unprecedented school year. We did it through an election where things are high, not between us two, but between the country. And we kept our same motto as always: unite through sports, and that's what we do. We sit here, we put real world issues aside. If we had to discuss them, we will. But we come here, we have fun. I mean, we get into arguments, but as soon as the camera comes off, it's all love from both of us.
I agree. Look, it's been a crazy year, and I think that everybody's been kind of tired of hearing that. We're going to start seeing a lot more of that as people start seeing the home stretch of this pandemic, as people come into the home stretch of what normalcy is like. I think a lot of people are going to be looking back on this and saying to themselves, wow, we've had quite a crazy year. We've had quite a crazy time. And for us, we started this show last year in the heart of the pandemic. In June of last year, we told ourselves I think it was like March or April, that we agreed we were going to do it. We said the first Monday after the school year ends, we're going to start our show. I remember we were on Zoom talking to our sports debate club saying, make you guys watch us. And we had no idea what we were doing. We found ourselves a software, not to throw any shade on it, but certainly not of the customization and accessibility we have now. But look, you learn. And that's one of the big things and one of the major things that we've done over the year. One thing I'm a big believer in, learn by doing. And I think that we've done that. We've grown up behind these screens. We've been able to really sit here and debate some things. It was Friday of that first week that we brought some guests on and started having the GOAT debate, a debate that continues to this day between the two of us.
Not over.
It's been exciting. It's been exciting. We've been through an entire NBA playoffs. We've been through an entire MLB season. We've been through the NHL playoffs. We've been through an entire NFL season. We're on our second NBA playoffs. We're on our second MLB season. It's crazy how much time flies. I think a lot of people know that. A lot of people know that if you don't turn around and look and take it in, it can blow right past you. And so I think today I take pride in just being able to slow it down, sit here, enjoy it, and just talk sports with my guy Gavin.
I mean, Zach, it's like I said, we do this for fun. I mean, this is something that we created. No one told us to do it. Like I said, this was a joke from a teacher early last year, where we were arguing our sports debate club, and they were like, wow, you guys should really have a talk show together. And we laughed it off, and then as the world was about to come to an end, I said, we really should do it. There's nothing else to do. And well, a year later, and I mean, Zach, we had a lot of guests ranging from DeMarco Murray to Matt Cord from the Philadelphia 76ers, and our good buddies from Dewan and Dom, and my cousin Trent joined us, and a lot of others. I mean, it's been fun, Zach. We get into heated debates. We have fun with it. We also did some in-person ones. Ladies and gentlemen, we tried to get an in-person one in today, but our schedules couldn't line up. But that was another tricky thing too, Zach, was you have two different people that also have personal things going on, Zach. You're a businessman, and I run to a lot of doctor's appointments from time to time, but he still managed to make a talk show work every day, whether it was late at night, whether it was early in the morning, and Zach, you were sitting outside, or whatever the circumstances are. But I mean, when you love someone so much as we do, we love sitting here talking trash on one another, especially when it comes to LeBron James and Michael Jordan. But it's all fun. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't do this, for attention. Well, we do it for attention, but we don't do it because we were forced to. This is something that two guys wanted to do. We love talking sports, and we wanted to do it further. And Zach, one last thing before I hand it off to you is, it's crazy to think that 1 year ago today we started this. The amount of fun that we had over this 1 year, I mean, it's crazy. Where from the technical side, I mean, Zach, we started off on a software, and I was sitting behind an orange wall, nodding my head every 5 seconds, versus now I'm on a whole new software. And major shout out to the school for not shutting down my program, because guys, I started on a school laptop. But Zach, I mean, look at us now, and we got bigger things coming, hopefully in the near future.
No, you got that right. Look, like you mentioned, the school year, life gets busy, but some things are more important. Some things you got to make time for, and this is one thing that we've always done. I know over the last few months we've been trying to get back to trying to get as many days in a week as we can. So
we apologize.
We decided to kind of make some more flexibility for ourselves, give ourselves different times to do it, do some pre-games, some post-games. And we're going to continue with that as our time is allowing us to. We're doing as much as we can, building a website. I know that we've been speaking a lot about all this stuff, but a lot of it's already either come or is on its way and is going to continue to. I know that we've been working really hard, tirelessly. Sometimes you get caught up in things, but honestly, at the end of the day, the best part of this is just being able to sit down, be ourselves, talk about sports, and be able to go from there. And I mean, I think that's what matters the most. And if there's one thing that anyone takes away from this show, whether it's the long discussions that we've had quite a couple of them on air too. I know off air we've had a lot as well, but on air we've tried to dedicate shows to speaking about different topics to show that there is a middle ground, that we can come to terms with each other on almost everything, and we can agree to disagree. Again, that's more of a sports thing on our show at least, but honestly, that's the truth in life, and you need to understand that. And if there's one thing I've learned from this past year, that you can come to terms on anything, you can agree on almost anything as long as you understand where everybody's coming from.
You don't have to agree on everything. You're right, Zach. You don't have to agree on everything, but just understand and respect one another. I think that's the thing that got lost a lot last summer, is just the respect for one another as human beings, as Americans. We lost what we are. I mean, Zach, like I say always, if I were to cut my arm and you were to cut yours, the first color is going to pop out is red, and then some choiceful words after that comes after. But all in all, Zach, I mean, this talk show is all about love and having fun and speaking real things when it matters, when we need to. And in conversations, we had numerous talks outside of it. Zach, me, you, we went out to lunch a couple of times and had some talks, had some fun talks. And like I said, this past year had been one of the most ups and downs, but this is the only up that was the whole year. I mean, learning from home, it's not easy. Mentally, it is not easy. And, just enjoying yourself. And finally, Zach, my last thing is this. Do you remember when we first, the day that you lost connection, and it was me and Adam? That's probably I think that was one of your favorite moments on the show?
It's up there. I know on New Year's we did a memorable moments of the year, and for just a few minutes it was just a frozen box with me on the top. But you guys had no idea that I had cut out, and I was trying to get back in. That was it was only like 5 minutes or so. It really wasn't that long. But when you're in the middle of a live production and you cut off, you really feel like it's an eternity just trying to get back live.
But the thing is he look, he's doing it right now. This little stare that he does that is not moving. You actually think he's there, and he's not responding. That's got to be one of the greatest moments in history. I know we did this at New Year's, but we will later in the show. We'll go over our favorite moments and stuff.
And we can do that right now. Honestly, I'll tell you, I know that we've done a video before. We can put another one together and be able to show it. But I'll say this: in the last year, I know it was early in the show last year interviewing DeMarco Murray. I don't know if we told the full story. I think we have once, but just to remind the viewers that we knew DeMarco Murray. We expected him to be on the show. He was supposed to be on, I think, 12:30 was the time he was supposed to come on. 12:30 rolls around. He's not here yet. And Gavin and I that was the one day we did it in person. We were here together, and all of a sudden we see DeMarco Murray pop up on the bottom of the screen.
Zach hit me so hard too.
I hit him. I'm like, you gotta take a look. DeMarco Murray just joined. He was in the middle of saying something. I honestly forget what it was, but
I was talking about Alvin Kamara, and I just immediately just dropped it. Okay, he's here.
Yeah, so then from that point we were able to introduce him, bring him in. It was a great experience. Hopefully we can get him back maybe this summer as his schedule frees up. I know he's been busy working as the running backs coach at Oklahoma, but for someone like him to come on as early in the show as he did, it seemed like he had a good time on it. We had a great time doing it. It was one of the best shows easily. Of course, Matt Corey this year was another notable interview, but even not just them, not just two big names, all the people that we know personally, everyday people I'd call them, and that I wouldn't take lightly because they know their sports too, and they have their opinions on it. I think having Trent on, Dom, of course your friend from Friendly High School, Matt. I mean, he's been all these guys have just been awesome experiences for us to interview and just pick their brains, get to know them, and just share our knowledge, share our energy with them. And a lot of the time they respond to it. They give us the energy back. They come on, they talk about what they want to talk about. I always have a great time doing it, just picking their brains and being able to go from there with them. It's been an awesome experience.
Zach, one of my favorite interviews. And before I get into my favorite interview, for those who may or may not know, that DeMarco Murray interview, as much fun as it was also stressful because it's like, remember, we don't have anyone booking this for us. This is something that three people, the guests and then the two hosts, have to sit down and pick a time and say, all right, this works. What about you? And when someone that that has a busier schedule than you, and versus two people who can drop anything they're doing at any given time to come on, it was a sense of pressure to make sure you deliver. You advertise. You told people that he's here. We're in jerseys and stuff, and I think that was the most pressure. I had my own mom texting me asking where he is. That doesn't, mom, if you're watching, that doesn't really ease the situation. that didn't make any easier, but that was one of my favorite interviews for sure. My friend Matt from Friendly High School, I had to get him back on here, but just having those conversations, the energy. But Zach, I think the one show that brought a lot of energy and one of my favorites was with Matt Cord. I mean, the guy has so much energy and it's so fun loving, and his storytelling was fantastic, and you just like to have that. It's like, I think I told you, I took a nap because I know how much energy he brings, and I still was tired. I mean, it's unbelievable. This guy, he does amazing work. I mean, you're going to hear him tonight. Hopefully the Sixers win, but all that in just 1 year, ladies and gentlemen. And that's just two high schoolers putting something together, reaching out, using their arm lengths and reach out to contacts and people that they can get, and then going. And remember, like I said, we don't have business managers. We don't have anybody that can, help us set something up. All we have is support from our families and then us to go make it happen. Zach, there's this quote I found: if you want something done, you gotta go do it yourself. You gotta get up and do it yourself. So that's what we did, and we're gonna keep doing it.
I agree. No, one of the major things that I think we talk about a lot as well as we shift over a little bit away from sports, the talk continues. And one thing that we spoke about last year, one thing I've always been big on, Gavin, is action. And whatever issues we speak about, whether or not I agree from certain perspectives or not, I'm always here to listen. Gavin, the same thing. And one thing I've always said is, okay, what is talking about it going to do versus what kind of action can we actually get done? However, talking does sometimes help a lot because it does get you to an audience, people that respect you, people that have a built trust, a foundation saying, okay, I understand where these guys come from. I know them well. I know whatever they say, I can honestly interpret and trust them for what they say. And every now and then, depending on what events occur, even sometimes we just do it because we feel like it's overdue, like with Naomi Osaka the other day. And we spoke way back with a few other incidents. I went back August of last year. We had a great talk recently. We had one as well on the show. Sometimes they're needed. Sometimes just to sit back, decompress. The NBA boycotts a day. We're not going to sit there and talk about the NBA boycotting. I'm not even going to voice an opinion on if I like it or not because that's not what they want us to do. They want you to sit there and talk about what matters and find action to do it. I know last year in July we donated, our donation portion to a organization supporting minority entrepreneurs. That's something that I'm very passionate about. And like Gavin said, you got to pick yourself up. You got to be able to do it yourself. However, you have to make sure that the obstacles that you're facing are the same for a lot of other circumstances, regardless of any of your conditions. And that's what's important. That's the only thing I care about. You should have to work hard to get what you want, but at the same time, it shouldn't be any obstacles that other people shouldn't have to face. And that's why the conversation continues. I know we always say the talk continues. Unite through sports are just two of the key phrases we've used and we continue to speak about because honestly, 365 days later, it's still pretty dang true. We have to continue with that. And I know with the pandemic, it starts to fizzle out. Again, still not over, but it's starting to fizzle out quite a lot. Vaccinations are rolling out pretty well and very strong. And so I think that a lot of people, we need to start looking at the positives. We need to stop looking at it from the negative side. Again, Gavin, we talk about this all the time. Every morning when I wake up, first I look up USA coronavirus cases. I always keep track of the numbers. When they went down last summer, when they went up in the fall, when they went down again this spring, I've been keeping track of it the whole time. Like I can sit here and tell you that the numbers look pretty good. And I know a lot of people out there still have that negative connotation that we're still in the heart of the pandemic. And I'm no doctor, and we never pretend to be one. We never act like we're doctors, but we do sit here and we speak about the truth. And numbers don't lie, especially in these circumstances. And look, again, pandemic's not over, but we're in a much more positive light than we were when we started 1 year ago. And that makes me really excited because if we could do a pretty dang good show just during a pandemic when there weren't sports on at first, or as Gavin says, if you think we're animated now, wait till the Eagles and Phillies come on. Just wait and see.
Oh, and they're bad. They're bad, ladies. They're bad.
I'm looking forward to the continuation. I'm looking forward to seeing if we can get some more on the ground interviews next year. Look, I don't know what this next year holds for us, but a year ago right now, there was a lot of uncertainty. We made it through. Every one of our worst days is behind us. We made it through, and we're here now. We're proud to see where we can continue. We're proud to see where everybody as a society can continue to go.
It's like if you have something to do about it, you can do something about it. That's the one thing I took away from this year. As much as losing lives and everything that came along with it, losing jobs and everything, it did spark a conversation that needs to be talked about. Was racial division and everything going on in this country, and that's the one major thing I take away from this past year. Besides losing everybody and losing jobs and the tough times and the hardship, but all the people that showed up to the rallies and was calling out things and got in the streets, those are actions. Like, I know our one way of action was, besides talking about it, was donating. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we will start that back up. I know we got busy with school and we kind of forgot, but please, we're ready to go. But that's what this talk show is based off: action, having fun, and talking about sports. Those are three things that we live off by when we hop on here: is having fun, talk about sports, and taking action. And time and time again, when needed to, talk about real things. Naomi Osaka, I'll emphasize it again. Mental health is no joke. Zach, mental health last year during this time, it was things were starting to open up, but around the May and early March, late March, and all that was sad times for a lot of people. But just to think about it, that there's some positives and there's some ways you can do things about what's going on. You can go get vaccinated, ladies and gentlemen. All right, you can go do that. I'm not going to say and force anybody, or I'm just going to tell you guys can do it. If you don't like what you see what's going on, and you want to do some things, go get vaccinated, then you can go do it. I mean, it's in the science, Zach. I'm not Chad Ochocinco. I'm not 100% against science, but I'm not all for science. But if I see a couple people doing it, then I'll go get it too. But all in all, Zach, it was a rough year. And ladies and gentlemen, we're graduating through this whole year. That's the crazy part, is we were able to do. You could say we survived 2020 and the early 2021, all the craziness. The cap and gowns will be on Thursday, so bear with us. And then once all that is out the way and the little celebration tour that we do, we'll be back on it every day here. What time? We don't know, but we will be here.
That's true. Look, again, last summer it was great being able to just come on every day, full hour. We look forward to continuing to do that. It's not changing. We're going to continue to get back to our roots, be able to continue, but do it better, do it stronger. And so, as Gavin pointed out, the big thing in the last year is just there's been a lot going on, and it's just history books, how they're written, is going to definitely be the interesting part. What will history say about this past year? And for us, we've lived it. We've been through all of it, and we've put it behind the camera even better. We've had video recordings of us, live reactions to certain events, and there's a lot of negative in this past year. It's inevitable whenever you talk about 2020. I find it hard to believe there's going to be a lot of positives in there, and that's fine. Negative things happen. It's not about what happens to you. It's not about what's thrown at you. It's about how you get up from it. It's about how you respond to it, and it's about what you do going forward. So while 2020, it has a tainted, and I think we said this on New Year's too, just only 6 months ago, there is a tainted stain on 2020.
Especially that championship, Zach. I don't want to forget that.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in our next segment. But look, again, I know we sound negative right now with that part, but if there's one takeaway, just try to look at the positives. But remember the negatives, because you got through that. Now, I just said a few minutes ago, everybody has gotten through their worst day so far. Anytime you thought you weren't going to pull through, anytime it's been like, this is terrible, you gotten through it, and we're all here. And that's my farewell message as we move on and begin to talk about what we're supposed to do, which is sports. But that's why we're called the More Than Philly Sports Network. But just my conclusion on this year's been gruesome. but just remember the positives. Take away the negatives as you are stronger for it. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I'm proud to be here and be able to continue to do it. Thank you, everybody, for the support in the last year. Gavin, anything else before we move on to the actual sports of the show?
It's been a hell of a year. It really has. For all my seniors, whether it's the class of 2020 that we know personally or around the world, it might not end it how you want it, but ladies and gentlemen, we did it. We are going to graduate. Some have graduated. I want to give a shout out to my cousin who graduated last week. And I also want to give a major congratulations to Anthony, who also graduated, I want to say a couple weeks ago from Duke. So
This is another guest that we had on.
Exactly. That was another guest we had on. But it's doable. Resiliency is why I saw a lot. Zach, it's how many times you get knocked out, it's how many times you get back up. I live by that every day. I mean, the odds are stacked against you when you're born with some certain things, certain situations is how much you make of it. Last year, I feel like everybody had the same odds, some worse than others. But you made it. You made it. You're still here. We talk about a lot of negatives, and even the most positive of the positive person has a negative day and negative times. But as long as you're still here, everybody that you know and love is still here and still doing well. You can't ask anything better than that, especially after the year we had.
Without a doubt, couldn't agree with you more. With that being said, coming up after this, we will transition over to what we do best, which is sports, of course. The Los Angeles
Wait, can I get the purple background? Can I get it?
Have been eliminated by the Phoenix Suns. You know what happened last week. We're going to talk about that and what that means for LeBron James' legacy. And then after that, the 76ers, what looked like a blowout and then ended up becoming a close game between the Sixers and the Hawks. They play tonight. Can the Sixers even up the series before they go to the A? Stay tuned.
We are now offering a new product on our Teespring. Wear a mask in public. We are now supporting a custom-designed mask with our logo on it. Purchase it today, and 10% goes to a foundation of our viewers' choice. It offers a full nose and mouth coverage. Single-sided print includes 2 2-inch elastic ear loops. Non-medical grade product. And finally, $1 from every mask sale is donated to a nonprofit to feed children in need. Enjoy today's episode.
All right, so we'll kind of recap it. The Los Angeles Lakers, the 2020 NBA champions. 71-day offseason. They go into the season strong. They're at a 2 or 3 seed. Anthony Davis gets hurt. LeBron then gets hurt. They fall all the way down to the 6 seed, 7 seed. They're fighting to stay out of the play-in. LeBron calls the play-in stupid. They end up having to play in the play-in. They play against Golden State in a instant classic. Honestly, LeBron James knocks down the go-ahead 3 with less than 2 seconds to go. Go on to play the Phoenix Suns. They lose game 1. They win games 2 and 3. And they look like they're going to take care of the Suns pretty easily. Anthony Davis gets hurt again. LeBron James, not very efficient in the series. LeBron James has played in 15 first-round series. He is now 14-1, eliminated for the first time in the first round in his career, and will be watching the semis, the conference final, and the final from his couch in L.A. Gavin, you gave me my field day in October when the Los Angeles Lakers won the NBA title. I'll give you yours now.
Don't go up the screen. Hold on, wait a minute. Let me get the purple and background. Let me get the purple and gold background. Purple and gold skies, right, ladies and gentlemen? All right. So let's talk about it. No. Go.
You want it back? You don't want the Sixers? All right.
Not right now. When we get to the Sixers, let me have my moment, please. Thank you. Let me be honest. Let me have my moment. Ladies and gentlemen, the Los Angeles Lakers and LeBron James especially. And Zach, I'll be honest when I say this. LeBron looked old playing against that Suns team. And what I mean by looking old, it was to the point that where I would forget that LeBron James was even on the court. LeBron James was not shooting a 3-ball efficiently from the series. I think he was either 32% maybe. And free throw line wasn't that fantastic. Zach, in game 1, LeBron James and Anthony Davis only combined for 35 points, almost. That's not good. And you're talking about a dynamic duo that normally combines for sometimes 50 to 60 points. Now, in game 1, LeBron James has 18 points and Davis has 13 points. Game 2, Anthony Davis does Anthony Davis things. Zach, I was furious and I said some choiceful words at the TV and went about my business. Game 3 in LA, I want to say the same thing happens and the Lakers are now up 2-1. Now, it's Anthony Davis's injury that goes down for me. don't put all the blame on Anthony Davis at all, because last time I checked, LeBron James is supposed to be the greatest basketball player in the world, right, Zach? Yes or no? Just shake your head. Yes. All right. So when they were calling on LeBron James for when he needed it the most, and Zach, this is where I get on LeBron James fans. LeBron James does one lob, and everybody goes, "He's back. He's back. It's over. Series is over." Ladies and gentlemen, LeBron James is pretty mediocre to average, above average to be a little bit above average, to be honest with you, in this series. 25 points and 7 assists, that's pretty pedestrian. He did not have not one 30-point game at all this series. The Phoenix, Jay Crowder and Miles Bridges deserve Defensive Player of the Year awards for that series because they did LeBron James pretty handily. But I'm not going to put all the blame on LeBron James. I will put this. Not getting back on defense, the lack of defensive effort does not look good on you. The constant complaining and whining does not look good on you. At some point, you need to be that guy and get back on defense and play until the game is over. And Zach, by the way, leaving before the game is over with 5 minutes left, that's also disrespectful, and he should have been fined for that. Now, let me go to Anthony Davis. For a person like me who actually likes Anthony Davis, I hate to say it. I really do, because Anthony Davis, when healthy, is the best big man in all basketball, Zach. I think we can come to agree on that. When healthy, he's the best big man in basketball, unstoppable. But he looked like he wasn't hungry, Zach. He didn't look like he was hungry. He looked like he didn't care. And Frank Vogel should be fired. And anyone that trains that should be fired. Andy Davis had no damn business being out there in Game 6. I mean, Zach, he couldn't jump at all. And they know it. The Phoenix Suns knew it and attacked him from the minute the game started. I mean, Zach, we're not health doctors, we're not doctors, we're not experts, we're not trainers, but we do know when a brother should not be playing, he shouldn't be playing. Zach, he didn't look like he had it. And finally, before I hand it up to you, is I don't want to hear anything about LeBron James and Michael Jordan no more. Because what we saw in this last series, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not arguing that he's not top 3. That's not what I'm arguing. I'm talking for this year right now. This playoffs does not look good because the lack of caring from LeBron James, the lack of effort offensively and sometimes defensively, the lack of being in kill mode, the MJ instance, the Kobe instance. I mean, damn, Devin Booker in Game 6 came into your house and dropped 47 and let you know about it too. He said he's in your mama's house cooking eggs. That's what he did. But I would say that shows right there, that series right there, MJ would never. He would go down swinging, and we know that he would. And lastly, Zach, in the words of Shannon Sharp, you could have LeBron James, Kevin James, or Bronny James. Suns of 6. It's easy.
I don't care what anybody said. I'll keep it simple. Contavious Caldwell-Pope and Dennis Schroeder are no Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman.
But what about the first round? What about the members, Zach? You always want to throw about how he gets bounced to the first round, but remember,
Michael was bounced twice without Scottie. He's never made it out of the first round without Scottie Pippen.
That's fair.
All right, so this year that kind of cancels out then.
No, it doesn't.
This does not affect in any way whatsoever his legacy or the game.
Well, Zach, who did LeBron James have? This
year he had a half Anthony Davis for 2 games.
Also, Andre Drummond was there. He used him correctly. And why the hell is Montrezl Harrell in the bench?
That's not LeBron's fault that Andre Drummond was not used correctly. It's Frank Vogel.
But
I'm just saying, look, I'll keep it honest. I'll call it where it is. LeBron James whining, not a fan. Crying after every call, not a fan. Leaving early, assuming that's what it actually was. It wasn't just going to get treatment, not a fan.
What about
getting back on defense? Not a fan. Look, he was not the most efficient player in this series, but who else is there to count on? All right. If you take a look at some of these guys, Markieff Morris averaged like 4.5 points this series. Andre Drummond 6 points in the series. Dennis Schroeder had 7.5 in the series. Contavious Caldwell-Pope 9. I mean, Kyle Kuzma, Wesley Matthews, Alex Caruso. Who are these people? That's my point. This Lakers roster, look, with Anthony Davis, yeah, in the playoffs that covers the woes. I don't disagree with that. That's why they won the title last year. But this year they didn't rebuild correctly. They didn't replace Rondo correctly. And honestly, a lot of the guys didn't show up in the playoffs, including LeBron James. With that being said, what will happen in the offseason? I don't know. But this is a superstar-driven league, and when you only have one of them out on the floor, you can't expect to win a series. It's
Zach,
that simple.
Zach, you remember what you said to me about Cleveland LeBron James? Oh, took that team to the finals.
That he did.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the Eastern Conference out of all places. And the team he beat to get there was a young Boston Celtics team that didn't even have their both stars. Jason Tatum was up and rising, and he was responding to the moment. Father time is a real thing, Zach. LeBron James didn't look like he had it, and I don't want to hear about the damn ankle. I don't want to hear about the damn eye, and I sure as hell don't want to hear about the shoulder. Zach, Father time.
I'll give you the 71-day off season.
Zach, he had a month off. So a month off. Zach,
No other player has ever had to experience that.
30? What's 71 plus 30?
101.
All right, that's enough. That's enough damn days. That's enough damn days. That's enough damn days right there. That's enough damn days. And
it wasn't consecutive. It was not consecutive. It doesn't work the same way. It does not work the same way. The Miami Heat were bounced in the first round. They were swept. Clearly, there has to be.
Where the hell is that? We can get into that too. Where the hell is Tyler Hero?
There has to be some correlation between the shortened offseason and the inability to be able to perform in the playoffs. Jimmy Butler was non-existent this year. No one's going to smash his legacy for it. You're only doing it because you're trying to defend the Michael Jordan case.
This is what happens.
Michael Jordan never had a 71-day.
This is what happens, Zach. When LeBron James loses, the narrative is never about what he did. It's always, well, Anthony Davis needs to be healthier, or
no, LeBron needs to be more efficient from the floor. He also can't be expected to put the whole team on his shoulders. If he was efficient, if he was just at his average,
why is he not doing that? He wasn't being aggressive. LeBron James didn't care. He fought. He looked old, Zach. Just come out and say he looked old. He looked old.
6 years old is pretty old.
But Zach, he looked older. The steroids must have ran out, ladies and gentlemen. It must have.
That was more Mike's era, if anything.
Man, we talk baseball maybe.
Boy, I think LeBron James certainly not a great look, but it does not affect his legacy, in my opinion. I don't know what you really could have expected from this team. You can he made the finals without another superstar. I'll say that. Grant was in the Eastern Conference, but I thought those were some pretty damn good teams he had to get by. He swept Toronto, the 1 seed. He beat Boston Game 7, and he went off in those games, Gavin. You can't deny that. You're down 3-1 to Golden State. You come back and you win that. You're in the bubble against Miami. You win that series.
No, the bubble doesn't count.
The bubble does count.
No, it doesn't.
All the adversity.
You know why it doesn't count? You want to talk about the outside noise? Fine. But here's why the bubble ring doesn't count. That's why I call him A. Disney and LeMickey James. Teams like the Miami Heat had no business being in the finals. We saw what happened to Tyler Hero. Where was he? Zach, I need APB for Tyler Hero.
We said this last year. We said the young guys are going to have a much more beneficial time in the playoffs without a crowd.
So guys like Kyle Kuzma, who was pretty garbage last year but looked decent in the finals. Guys like, Alex Caruso. You have Rajon Rondo there. But, Zach, I think this falls on Frank Vogel, LeBron James, and a little bit on Anthony Davis. I mean, Frank Vogel, you have 6th man of the year, Montrezl Harrell, who energizes the team. Why is he not playing? We saw Snoop Dogg said that Anthony Davis is softer than a Mary J. Blige album. Take it how you want. But if you have a guy like Montrezl Harrell, he can't be on the bench, especially when Anthony Davis goes out. You got a guy, Andre Drummond, who looked pretty average. I mean, you brought him in to grab rebounds and finish at the rim. He couldn't do that. He couldn't do what his specialty.
He didn't use anyone correctly. They misused him a lot during this series. I'm not sure what the future for Frank Vogel looks, but all those issues, and you're still blaming LeBron James. I mean, there's just a lot of factors for this team.
It revolves around him. Zach, he shot 3 of 10 in the final game. 3 of 10 in the final game. Zach, the reason why I blame LeBron James is you're supposed to be the hero. You're supposed to be this. You're supposed to be the Superman. That you, Danny Clancy, Jaden Berger, all these guys, Jocelyn Sadeo, Oprah Side, all these guys make them out to be Shannon Sharp. You guys might know half them, but you guys make him to be this superhero, this Thanos. He looked pretty average to me. Looked pretty average and old. Devin Booker and the Phoenix Suns wanted it more. That's called how it is. They wanted it more.
The Lakers were tired, they're run down, and they're not hungry. That's going to be something they have to fix in the offseason. We'll see how they bounce back from it. Right now, it's a tough day in Los Angeles for the Lakers because their counterpart, the Clippers, made it out of the first round somehow, some way. Montrezl Harrell switching sides only to go home earlier.
Should have stayed. I mean, are we going to the Clippers now? Because I mean,
We are. We're going to transition to the Clippers. The Clippers, Game 7, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George finally showed up. Maybe last year was the fluke. Playoff P, no longer pandemic P. That goes to Kristaps Porzingis. Gavin, Dallas Mavericks. Luka did all he could, and it still wasn't enough. They dropped Game 7 in Los Angeles. Clippers move on to play the Utah Jazz. That will be a very exciting series.
Zach, I want to go back to Game 6 where the Clippers win 104-97. Kawhi Leonard stepped up and showed why he's the superstar of that team. He had 45, Paul George had 20, and Reggie Jackson had 25. Now, the reason I bring up that is Luka Doncic and Tim Hardaway were the only ones in 20-plus with 20-plus scores. Kristaps Porzingis, or more like Kristaps, whatever you want to call him, pandemic Porzingis.
Pandemic P 2.0.
Pandemic P, double P. 7 points in Game 6. And then you go to Game 7 and look at Game 7. Luka had 46. He had 20 in the first half. Kristaps Porzingis only had a 16. But there was no one around Luka Doncic to help him. The bench was pretty garbage. The matter of fact, no one on the bench had more than 10. And Jalen Brunson played over 10 minutes. This is going to go on how Luka did not fail the Mavericks. The Mavericks failed him. And Kristaps Porzingis does not deserve to be on that team no more. You have to rebuild. You have to get something. People were talking about in that trade to Dallas. Remember that, Zach, where it was Kristaps Porzingis and Tim Hardaway was the other. It might be the other way now because Tim Hardaway is going to get paid because he showed up. Tim Hardaway Jr. was there when you counted on him. It's going to be Tim Hardaway Jr. and Kristaps Porzingis was the other. It's crazy, Zach, because this was supposed to be the guy that the New York Knicks are supposed to hold on to, and he failed them. He failed them miserably. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George overpowered Luka Doncic on his 46 points. But the Mavs will be back. This guy's going to be the star of the league in Luka Doncic.
Yeah, I agree. I think Luka, honestly, he has the next potential to enter that GOAT debate very far away. But if there's any player I see in the league right now with that potential, it is him. With that being said, though, let's talk about the Clippers. Let's talk about Tyler. They've gotten a lot of heat. Did they just silence a lot of their haters, or are they still on very thin ice?
It's going to be tough because you should have never went down 2-0 to begin with to the Mavericks. You were the better team. You were the most powerful team. Did they silence some critics? Yes. But they're still talking. Zach, you picked them to come out the West. I mean, do you feel confident about that? I mean, I don't know. I mean, no. The first team to win a home game was the Clippers in Game 7. The Jazz are the best shooting team in the league. We see them hit shots. Now, the Hawks had a field day versus our Sixers. But, Zach, I mean, you can't go down to the Utah Jazz because they will make you pay. And you need a real center. You can't run Nicholas Batum at center. Someone like Serge Ibaka or DeMarcus Cousins has to play at some point in this playoffs in order for y'all to have a chance. I'm not going to count them out because the defense is spectacular, but it's going to be a hard one.
Yeah, for sure. And finally, before we get on to the Eastern Conference, I said last year, I remember, I said Kawhi Leonard and the word GOAT should never be in the same sentence after they blew that Game 7 in the bubble. That Game 6, though, and that Game 7 were immaculate. Do you think that he has redeemed himself? Remember, 2 years ago, everyone was calling him the next GOAT, right? He was the most close guy to Michael Jordan. He's a killer, he's a scorer, and he's a phenomenal defender. He took that Raptors team. They won the ring. That team turned out to be better than we thought after he left. Of course, this year they had a little bit of a down year, but they went to 7 games with Boston last year in the first round. Kawhi Leonard, I think he had like 90 points or 80-some points in those last 2 games facing elimination. Has Kawhi redeemed himself in any way, in your opinion, Gavin, after that Game 7 debacle last year?
Well, first off, Kawhi Leonard and GOAT, that's never going to go together because, Zach, you know where I stand. If we're going to put someone else in that conversation from this era, this past decade, you have to look at a guy like Steph Curry. You're going to have to look at a guy like Kevin Durant. Zach, we saw what he did to Giannis yesterday, but Kawhi Leonard reminded everybody who the hell he was with those 2 performances with 45 and then a near triple-double in Game 7. He made up for it for sure, but to call himself the GOAT, he's far from it, Zach. I mean, what do you think?
It's tough, but that last year's a big stain on his legacy as a player. Because if he went on last year and they won the finals again, back-to-back different teams, and this year the way he's playing, Kawhi Leonard had a phenomenal year, but the load man, like the last 4 years as all, he's been up and down. He ruins his reputation, goes to Toronto, wins it, redeems himself, ruins his reputation again last year, and then redeems himself again this year. We'll just catch him on a high year. Let's see how it pans out down the road.
If Kawhi Leonard wins a championship this year, I think it would be hard to ignore.
That'd be his fourth ring, right, or third?
Fourth ring, yes. It'll be hard to ignore because we're talking. I mean, now he's in territory where he'll be with LeBron James with 4, and Kobe Bryant has his 5, and Dennis Rodman has 5. Not a lot of people know that, but he's nowhere near the GOAT. But when it comes to talking about one of the best players in the league, we can't ignore him when we're talking about that. We really can't.
Without a doubt, coming up after this, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Brooklyn Nets. How good are the Nets? Without Harden, they're demolishing arguably the second, if not third best team in the Eastern Conference. Stay tuned.
Would you like to know how you can support the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show? If so, head down to the comments on our YouTube channel. You will see 2 links there. The first is our Teespring, where you can see a wide variety of apparel products, including our signature product, the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show sweatshirts, offered in a variety of different colors, including gray, navy blue, and more. Finally, we have our Patreon page, where you can become a monthly donation member. 10% of all donations go towards an organization of our viewers' choice. We hope that you enjoyed today's episode, and if you can't donate, that's okay, because you can always share this.
Welcome back here on the More Than Philly Sports Network. Just breaking down the Western Conference. Let's talk about the Eastern Conference. Game 1, Nets, Bucks. James Harden gets hurt. The Nets get off to a hot start. The Bucks pull back and make it close. And then Game 2 in Brooklyn, demolish. 39-point win, 85 points only for the Bucks. I talked about this during the regular season. The Bucks aren't that good. I don't see what's so good with them. We all know how Giannis is in the playoffs. Mike Budenholzer, our good friend Dom, called the best regular season coach, but not a good playoff coach. And we all know Dante DiVincenzo from Villanova. Unfortunately, injuries have affected him. That's a big three-point volume shooter. And then, of course, the big names, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, have not risen to the occasion. And then, of course, you're playing against a generational talent in Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, Joe Harris, Nicholas Claxton's going out there getting some blocks for the team. Blake Griffin looks like he's in Lob City all over again.
Blake Griffin needs work.
Should we just give the Nets the ring at this point? I don't know who's beating them. Who's going to beat Brooklyn? How do you lose to them? If one guy's having a bad night, you're trying to tell me everyone else is? I don't know how they lose. I don't. They've been consistent in the playoffs, and they've been really, really good. I don't know how this series even gets past 4. This would be a sweep.
Well, Zach, it doesn't get past 4, and I have to call out 2 people. Zach, I'm a big Chris Middleton critic. Here's why. The man got paid, right? He's an all-star, supposedly. He shows up in the regular season, hits the shot. Zach, I thought this pro season was going to be different because he hits a game winner. Zach, I was at your house when you did it. And he has a great first round, but Chris Middleton rears his ugly head again. And what happens? I mean, Zach, in game 1, he only had 13 points. In game 2, he has 17 points. That's not going to cut it. If you're supposed to be Giannis's Robin, that's not going to cut it. And I guess Drew Holiday's Alfred now. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, you guys like Batman, there you go. But that's not going to cut it. I mean, Zach, last night was not Chris Middleton's fault. Last night was Mike Budenholzer's fault. You come out in a zone to start the game versus the second best three-point shooting team against zone in the whole entire NBA versus KD and Kyrie and Joe Harris and the crew. I mean, come on. And if Giannis's post-game conference was, well, we have to be more physical. No, you have to be more physical. It's like Giannis is the most physical player. It's like he reminds you of a Shaq if he's a forward. If Shaq was a forward. No one's stopping Giannis when he gets into the lane, but that's not going to cut it. Zach, Giannis has to make free throws. He missed a lot of them last night. Also, too, the Brooklyn Nets versatility, Kevin Durant versus Giannis, that looks like a personal matchup, Zach. That really looks like a personal matchup. Kevin Durant took that personal, and every time he gets the ball, he's taking it to Giannis. They're all taking it to Giannis. I think as of right now, this series is going to be done in 3. And why I say 3, Zach, I know you need 4 to win, but after the 3rd game, they don't even want to play the 4th. They're just not going to try. They're just going to say, forget it, move on. Now, to answer your question, who's going to beat Brooklyn? Who should we give Brooklyn the ring? I don't think so just yet. I got to see what our team does against them. Because remember, Zach, we are a better defensive team than Milwaukee is. All right, we got guys. I don't know if we really get someone to really stop Giannis because there's no such thing as stopping Giannis, but you can neutralize the hell out of Giannis. You can make him shoot jump shots. But if Joel Embiid is near 100%, I'll give him 85%. We have a great chance to stop KD and Kyrie. But when you're looking at the Brooklyn Nets, what they did last night without James Harden was scary. The fact that Blake Griffin wants to actually play. Zach, he didn't want to play basketball for 2 years. He's playing now. He's dunking, ladies and gentlemen.
He has more dunks. He had no dunks as a Detroit Piston this year. And so
he had 1 dunk as a Detroit Piston. Now he has like 7. And it's crazy, Zach, because Blake Griffin, it really is a big 4. It really is a big 4. Right now it's a big 3, because Blake Griffin had 2 back-to-back great games. So my question for you is, if the Sixers were to meet up with the Brooklyn Nets, do you still give them a chance, or are you just saying Brooklyn has a ring?
I don't know. I mean, Joel can get his inside, but the problem is that offense, you just can't stop those 3-point shots every time. So it's going to be a series where we have to outshoot them 4 out of the 3 nights. I think the Sixers can stretch it to 6 or 7 games, but I give Brooklyn the favorite right now, unless I see other reasons to believe. Hopefully, if Mike Budenholzer can draft a good plan to at least stop them for a game or 2, Doc Rivers can learn a thing or 2 about that. But right now, Brooklyn looks extremely dominant. I don't know who maybe Utah. Maybe Utah if they get there. I don't know if Utah can even get out of the West, but if they do,
I don't know.
Utah could have a chance because of how many guys they have. If they have one guy having an off night, they have a bunch of others to pick them up. It's the same story in Brooklyn, especially if James Harden comes back.
Zach, when you talk about Utah, you got a team that's their superstar is Donovan Mitchell, and you have a lot of great role players around him and a really great defensive center. You got Bogdanovich, you got Ingles, you got Conley, you got Clarkson coming off the bench. You got a whole arsenal. That is the team that would give Brooklyn some troubles. But guess what? I think that the Sixers can give them just as great of a trouble. I really do. It all revolves around Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons attacking the paint. They don't have nobody. I like Blake Griffin.
You have to have a much more efficient scoring night than your opponent does, and that's hard for the Sixers to do because they're a defensive team, and you can't really stop that offense. Is defense going to win the championship this year or offense? That's going to be the question.
But Zach, we're betting on, and I hate saying this, but we're betting on the health of these 3 stars, which as of right now, Zach, it's two out of the 3 stars. But you're betting on their health, and you're also betting on their shooting. Zach, I know we're going to talk about the Hawks, but there's no way a team can shoot the ball phenomenal every night. There's no way.
Our team has had 3 superstar talents like that. That's the problem. We haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen an off night from this team yet. So let's wait and see. Maybe there hasn't been enough time yet. Because Boston won a game. Remember, Boston did steal a game from Brooklyn.
It took 50 points from Jason Tatum to do it.
Let's see if Milwaukee can do the same thing.
I have to wait and see. I don't believe so because I really don't believe that Budenholzer can scheme something up. But I do like Doc better than Budenholzer. I think Budenholzer actually gets fired this year.
I don't know what other choice you have, but you need like a Damian Lillard. You need another dominant shooting guard. If you're going to have a guy who only goes inside and is not known for his shooting, you need to have a guard who can really go out there, pull up and shoot. I would package Middleton, Holiday picks, and a cherry on top to get Damian Lillard. If I was them, I'd make a run at him.
Well, Zach, you have to get someone that takes the attention off Giannis. You're not wrong. No one fears Chris Middleton. Hell, I don't even fear Chris Middleton, and I don't even play against him. No one fears Drew Holiday. Zach, do you? Not really. Nice guy, but
nice two-way player, but not good enough in the playoffs.
Exactly. You guys
champion every year. Players can be nice pieces to add, but only one team, only one group of 10, 15 players are champions every year.
It's role players and the killer instincts in the playoffs that help you advance.
There's no killer on the Bucks.
That's why the Phoenix Suns advanced because Devin Booker's a killer and the role players.
Chris Paul last night was a killer.
Chris Paul last night was a killer, and so was D Book and all those guys. Look at guys like the Sixers. Joel Embiid is a killer. They got some nice pieces along them. It just goes like that. And sadly, no one fears the other two stars they have in Milwaukee.
Without a doubt, we'll see how that series rolls out tomorrow night, Game 3 in Milwaukee. Tonight, 76ers, Atlanta Hawks. Gavin, I feel pretty good about the Sixers right now. As long as Doc Rivers doesn't put an all-bench squad in, I think he adjusts tonight. The Sixers looked really strong. They owned the second half of that game. I think that Trae Young's going to get his. The other guys are not going to be as hot. I think the Sixers were actually a lot closer, people think, to winning that game. It's a pretty moral victory for Doc Rivers to keep all the starters in late when they were down 15-20 in the fourth quarter, and they came all the way back. That's got to say something for them. Joel Embiid looks fine. He'll say what he wants to about his meniscus and whatever. He looks fine to me. I think that the Sixers have a good chance tonight. There's a lot of pressure on them, but I think that if they want to be that team, they respond well. Listen, second half of that game, 29-41. Those are the third and fourth quarter for the Sixers versus 25-29. They blew them out in the second half. They blew them out, and they were still hitting a lot of good shots. So tonight, I think that the Hawks come back to earth. I think the Sixers get out there pissed off and strong. And damn it, Ben Simmons, get aggressive, be inside, finish, and let these players, they need to play 40-plus minutes. Because let me tell you the issue. I'll tell you why the Sixers lost this game. It's pretty simple. 36 minutes for Tobias Harris, 37 for Ben Simmons. Furkan Korkmaz, 11 minutes. I like him, but 11 minutes is too much. Tyrese Maxey, 14 minutes is too much. I'm going to see Ben Simmons in the 40 minutes. That's honestly how it's going to work. They said early on, they said, okay, it's not Milwaukee, it's not Toronto 2 years ago, it's not Boston. Maybe we can go a little deeper into our bench. You can't do it. Only players I want to see off the bench, and I'm very stern, Gavin, throughout all of the time we've talked. 2 deep, 3 deep. I've always said the playoffs are about 3 players deep at most. I've been very adamant about that. The only players I want to see off the bench tonight are George Hill, Dwight Howard, and Matisse Thybulle. Maybe Tyrese Maxey later, but Furkan Korkmaz, it's going to be tough for him. He's a good scorer, but offensively, unfortunately, he's not there. And they can go like Furk can come in, but if he comes in, the lineup needs to be like Matisse, Danny, Ben, Joel, and then I guess Tobias. You can't put all bench players in at once. I think Doc knows that now. I think he's going to correct it, and I think the Sixers are able to win. Not easily. It's going to be a tough series. It's going to be 6 games, but I think the Sixers can get the job done. I think they can win and win this series. Otherwise, we have to reevaluate ourselves. But let's take a deep breath. Let's not overreact. Let's see what they do tonight.
Well, Zach, first of all, I disagree with you. I don't disagree with you about not going too deep in your bench. All right, you're right. You say 3 deep, I say 4. Zach, I got George Hill, Matisse Thybulle. Excuse me. Actually, no. I got Danny Green, and I got Dwight Howard, and then I have Tyrese Maxey because you need an energizer.
And you're starting Matisse Thybulle.
I'm sorry. I don't want to see Danny Green no more. No more. Listen, I don't understand what goes on in this thought process. I mean, you get this. No. You think I'm joking?
It's been a problem his whole career. I know, but he's been pretty big for us down the stretch a lot of games.
No, but I mean, you get the steal, right? You get a steal, and then you just randomly pull for a 3 without even trying to get a better shot. I mean, and then you clink. You're not hitting threes, Zach. Danny Green was 0 for 4 from threes. You would think at some point in your life you would stop saying, well, if I didn't make the first 3, I'm not going to shoot the next one. It's like, you know how I am when it comes to 3-point shots. If you don't make your first 2, I wouldn't keep shooting. Unless you're like a guy like Steph Curry or Seth Curry or Tobias Harris or one of those guys, keep shooting. Keep shooting. You are bad. You are garbage. You and Malik Milton, Zach, new nickname alert, is no longer Shake. It's Malik Benjamin. All right, I looked it up. That's his government name. We're calling him that by now. Malik Milton and him needed no. I want them to not touch the game at all. I'm sick and tired of them. Now, when it comes to Matisse Thybulle, I mean, damn, Matisse made more threes than you, Danny Green. I mean, seriously, come on now. But our reason why I want to start Matisse Thybulle is this: Doc Rivers put Danny Green on Trae Young. I never want to see that again. Another day in my life. Zach. As long as my eyes are working, I'm up to watch the 16. I don't want to see that ever again. It should have been guys like Ben Simmons and Matisse Thybulle. You have to have someone that can keep up with Trae Young, and you have to have someone that has energy. Matisse Thybulle is an energetic defender. He runs all around. Zach, he runs out the TV screen. Another thing, too, about last night's game or the other night's game, the reason I'm not overreacting is because the Hawks are not going to make 23s again. they're not going to shoot 47% from three as a team again. That's not happening. And if you think that's happening again, you must have lost your mind. I think the second half showed that the Hawks are average and the Sixers can play better. I mean, Zach, Joel Embiid can bully him. It's just John Collins that I'm worried about because all Trae Young does is run in the lane and throw a floater. He does the same move, throw a floater. You have to be able to stop that. Zach, I think you're right. They corrected tonight. The Sixers win. I think they take care of the Hawks pretty handily. It's going to be close, as always is to start the game. But I want to say in the second half, the Sixers pull away and they ultimately win this game by 15 points. And to show Trae Young he's at your little boy.
Yeah, I hope so. Look, I mean, the Sixers dominated the stat sheet. The only big look, they had a better field goal percentage. They had more rebounds, much more offensive boards, more assists, more blocks, more steals. Only issues: turnovers. They had 4 more than the Hawks, and then obviously 3-point percentage. Those will both be cleaned up tonight. Therefore, I believe they're going to win. Just looking at the stat sheet. But with that being said, I expect the Sixers win tonight. Gavin, anything else from you before we wrap up our 1-year birthday show?
When it comes to the Sixers, just win. Win, ladies and gentlemen, just win. When it comes to any other sports, Zach, the College World Series, Softball World Series is set. Oklahoma versus Florida. I'm going with Oklahoma. And did you see the Logan Paul and Floyd Mayweather fight? That's stupid. There's no winner. And what's the
Yeah, I
point?
watched most of it. Yeah, it was an interesting matchup. Not worth the money.
Not worth money at all. I deserve a refund. And finally, Zach, Julio Jones goes to Tennessee. The strongest team in the NFL.
Hey, we'll break it all down. Possibly tomorrow, I'll break down some more news in the NFL world. With that being said, thank you, everybody, for your support so far. It's been a crazy, crazy year and a half for us, of course, on the show, a year. Thank you again, everybody. We appreciate your support. Have a great, great day.
Have a good one, everybody. We're working on something big coming up soon. I promise you.
Indeed. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. In addition, hit that bell icon and set it to all to get reminded of when we go live and when we post excerpts of our videos. Again, thanks.